"Show them or I swear I'll tear down every lie here," she snapped, her voice cutting through the din of the crowded room. There was a tremor in her hand but not in her words. "You think you can talk your way out now? I have the evidence." A hush fell. The woman's gaze darted, greed, fear, pride flickering in quick succession. "You don't understand what you're doing," she hissed, glancing at the uniformed men massing near the hall. "I built this life, not you." The bare bulb overhead swung slightly, dust winking in the cone of light, casting sharp shadows of the people pressed against the walls. "You built it on someone else's grave," the younger woman spat, stepping closer. "Let's see you lie to them." Silence, broken only by the rasp of a paper sliding across the table. "Don't make me say it again." 3 months earlier, before power and fear twisted the truth, she hadn't even known where home was. The bank balance app on Carla's battered phone glowed, $42.11. She watched the number like a verdict, thumb hovering, sitting in the front seat of her hatchback, parked across from what passed for the town welcome sign, Newton County, Jasper, Arkansas. Rain sheeted down, hammering the windshield in cold, staccato bursts. The heater coughed out its last gasp of warmth. Her son Mason, curled on the backseat around a crumpled Spider-Man backpack, blinked up at her, pale green eyes wide, hair sticking up in angles from his nap. "Are we gonna have pancakes tomorrow, Mom?" Mason mumbled, voice rough from sleep and nerves. Carla forced a smile, reaching into the brown paper sack crumpled between the seats. She pressed a leftover granola bar into his palm. "Maybe they eat pancakes for every meal here, cowboy. We'll check." He chewed, then after a beat asked quietly, "Did Grandma really give us a laundromat, or was that lady lying?" Carla's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Sometimes a gift comes wrapped in ugly paper, Mason. We're here to see for ourselves." She looked up just as a gleaming white Escalade swung into the gravel lot next to them. Out stepped Marjorie Layton, the stepmother, 40-ish, perfect waves of hair, beige wool coat with scarf tossed just so, and a practiced dab at the corner of one eye. Her son Hunter, 17 and bored, pecked at his phone. Amanda, the daughter, lingered at the car door, set of her jaw echoing her mother's. Marjorie's voice cut through the rain. "Do park further from the entrance next time, Carla. You're kindly blocking traffic." "That's all the traffic this town's seen in a month, Marjorie," Carla shot back, voice thin with exhaustion. Marjorie's smile was razor sharp. "Congratulations on your windfall, darling. Enjoy that little palace. Don't mind the boarded windows, rustic charm, right?" Amanda sniggered. "Wonder if it still smells like soap and cigarettes." For a beat, Marjorie's expression dropped its gracious veneer. "Not everyone understands how these things work, Carla. Some of us prepared for the tax man." Hunter didn't look up, only snapped his gum. A prickle ran down Carla's spine, an echo of something she'd heard at the funeral, Marjorie's hissing whisper late in the hall, "It all goes to blood family. They've done the paperwork. You'll get your little project, just enough to run out of gas on." Now across the parking lot, the laundromat hunched under gray awnings, its clapboard was warped, turquoise paint peeling off the door, 2 windows X'd with sun-faded tape. Rain soaked the weeds sprouting up from the cracked foundation. Taped to the door was a note, ink bled from the wet, "Condemned, unsafe entry, town code 7.2. Next to it, a smaller, older slip, a scrawl in pencil, "Carla, start in the tailor's corner, look deeper." She blinked at the note, who had left it and why look deeper. Her heart pounded out a mournful rhythm. Already, secrets pressed at the edge. If you've ever had someone tell you the sum of your worth and wondered what else they buried, don't look away. Reaching over, she nudged Mason's shoulder. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be," he murmured, the words small but brave. Her hand found the cracked handle, door, world, and fate all waiting. The rain drummed harder as she crossed to the laundromat's warped turquoise door. The key, a single rusted brass one, barely turned in the lock, the mechanism stubborn. She gritted her teeth, shoving shoulder to rotten wood, and the door gave with a screech, the tape flapping. Mason followed, trailing a lazy swirl of light from his battered flashlight. Inside, it smelled of mildew and long-dead soap. The washer's 4 industrial relics painted a dull moss green sat in a line along the right wall. A tipped-over sign read 25 cents per load. The air was clammy, heavy with neglect. Mason pointed his light at a window. There's a dead bird in the glass, Mom. Don't touch it, honey. She scanned the rest, faded posters of laundry instructions, a soda machine with all but the grape button missing, stains riding halfway up the wood-paneled counter. In the left-hand corner, behind a curtain of yellowed vinyl strips, sat a squat oak table, and next to it, a Singer treadle sewing machine, black, ornate, out of place among the functional neglect. Carla felt a flicker of something unease anticipation. She twisted the note in her hand, starred in the tailor's corner, looked deeper. She knelt by the machine. Mason hovered wide-eyed. "Who'd bring a sewing thing to a laundromat?" he whispered. "My grandma sewed all our curtains," Carla murmured, flexing numb fingers around the cold iron. "Said all women needed to know how to patch a pocket and hide $1 for dark days." She reached beneath the treadle. Her hand slid over a groove, a seam barely perceptible in the underside of the cast-iron base. She pulled. A hollow clang echoed as a small door popped free, unveiling a cavity. Inside, metal glinted old coins, a cracked blue bankbook, and a worn envelope, the name Carla May Layton scrawled in slanted hand. Hairs rose on her neck. Mason leaned too close, nearly tipping the machine. "Careful," she warned, but her voice trembled. Heart thudding, she eased the envelope free. Inside, a single brass key stamped B1, tangled with a note. "If you find this, you're not done. Basement, south wall panel by the breaker box. You're the only one who'll know." She stared at the words. From outside, thunder boomed. So the story went deeper, literally and otherwise. "Mom," Mason's voice was small, uncertain. "What's down there?" She swallowed. "Let's find out." None of the lights worked. Their flashlights etched small, jittery islands in the dark. Cobweb strands brushed her cheeks as they followed the back hall, passing a row of battered lockers to a warped door marked maintenance. The stairs descended steep, slick with damp, the smell of earth enveloping them. The basement was even colder, the silence deeper. Her phone's glow exposed cinderblock walls and spidered cracks. Against the south wall, below the only high, rattling window, she found the breaker box, and to its left, a sagging plywood panel. Mason pressed close, trembling. She pressed the brass key into a lock nearly swallowed by rust. It clicked 2 turns. The panel slid aside. A square of darkness yawned. She raised her flashlight. Steps led down, a whole other staircase, hidden, sharp-edged, ending in what looked like a concrete landing below the base of the house. Something not meant to show at all. Her breath caught. The air that rose smelled old, sealed. Mason clung to her sleeve. "It goes further, Mom." She forced a grin for him. Her hands shook. "Looks like Grandma left us more homework." The secret space beckoned. So much for only getting what you could run out of gas on. A single bulb dangled at the base of the lower stairs, casting a weird yellow pool. The room it revealed, stonewalled, nearly the size of an apartment, held a battered desk, a row of battered metal cabinets, and against the far wall, a thick metal door with a simple turn handle and a combination lock. Dust wavered in the air. Along the walls, 2 small bedrooms, beds stripped, a ragged quilt half folded on one, faded blue cardinals embroidered in puffs of red. Mason hovered near a bookcase, running a finger over spines. "Why's there bedrooms, Mom?" She exhaled. Maybe it was a storm place or someone really private. She nearly laughed. Or maybe hiding from Marjorie like me. On the desk, under a weighted paperweight shaped like a buffalo, sat a leather-bound journal labeled M. Layton, 1978. She opened to the first page. The handwriting twisted and swooped. Faded photographs of the original property dotted the margins. She sat flipping through, Mason perched next to her, legs swinging. The words leapt. "If Carla bends enough to fit their frame, she'll break. But if she finds this, she'll know she was always enough and always theirs." She blinked hard, a sudden itch in her eyes. Mason read over her shoulder, sounding out, "Carla, that's you." A brittle envelope slipped from between the pages. Inside, a photograph, 2 women, arms around each other on the laundromat steps. her mother, unmistakable wild dark hair, smiling. A legal-looking document peeked out, but not the will she'd received. This was older, the heading Last Will and Testament of Margaret Layton, 1985. The signature, her birth mother S. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. The names within, Carla May Layton, sole beneficiary, in trust for any issue. The date, 2 months before her mother's death. Her mind raced. The will Marjorie presented was dated years after, in another hand altogether. Tucked behind, a letter jammed with fiercely slanted pen, addressed to my girl, in case I don't get to say. She read aloud, voice halting. I never wanted Marjorie near you. If she tries to take anything from you, prove it. My seal is under the frame upstairs. Tell the truth and don't let them paper over blood. One day you'll have your own reasons to fight back. Don't let them tell you no. Chills prickled her arms. Mason watched, transfixed. She thumbed through receipts, cash withdrawn, gold coins listed, deposits in the now familiar blue bank book. What's this all mean, Mom? Mason asked, uncertain. It means someone lied, baby. She stuffed the originals into her bag, heart hammering, and stared at the vault in the far wall. Lights flickered overhead, someone somewhere above. Back upstairs, we're not alone. Her voice didn't crack this time. Up in the alley behind the laundromat, cold rain still fell. Carla's phone vibrated, a text. Unknown number, sale closing Friday, vacate, final offer coming, ML. Her stomach clenched. She hustled Mason along the street, past the convenience store whose old man peered through the blinds to the single-lit window above the hardware. A faded sign, Dyson and Dyson, attorneys. Inside, the office was all ugly carpeting and wood-paneled gloom. Tom Dyson, her mother's old lawyer, looked up from across a desk stacked with papers, thick glasses perched on his nose. Carla May Layton, haven't seen you in these parts since you could see eye to eye with a doorknob, he said with a nasal twang. She managed a grateful half-smile. I need help, Mr. Dyson. I have a will and proof the other's a fake. Mason sat on the battered armchair, clutching his backpack. Dyson scanned the papers, his eyebrows leaped. Who else has seen these? Just us, but Marjorie's pushing a sale to a developer. There's a closing on Friday. She's got the only copy of the other will. He whistled, rocking back. That fast, huh? This town's selling off its skin 1 acre at a time. But real estate fraud, wire transfer sales, that's federal if you connect enough dots. He flipped through the bank book and coins, then leaned closer. You see these entries, your mother socked away more than lunch money, and the stamp here, it's her legal mark. If someone forged after this date, it's fraud with zero wiggle room. Mason piped up, does that mean we get to keep the laundromat? Dyson's eyes softened, if all goes well, and maybe a lot more than spin cycles. He nodded at Carla, get copies made. You need witnesses and more paperwork, and if Marjorie's pulled any tax wrangling, well, the alphabet boys like that sort of present. I'll call in a friend from Little Rock. Rain battered the dark outside. Carla stared out. Will she have us evicted before Friday? Not legally, but if she smells trouble, she might move the goalposts. Keep your phone close and don't sign a thing. He peered at her over steepled hands. Property fraud's like catching a snake in a flour sack. You need to see it squirm. There it was, the first breath of hope she'd allowed herself in a long while. Thursday dawned sharp and wet. Carla and Mason walked Main Street, heads down against cold drizzle. People watched them from the hardware, the dollar store, the diner, all eyes, few voices. They ducked into Granny Ridley's cafe, the one place people still whispered her mom's name fondly. Mason slurped chocolate milk, feet swinging. Carla nursed a coffee, the bitter bite grounding her. Granny Ridley, white head bobbing under stained cap, sidled over. Your mama used to sew up curtains in my back booth, sugar, never charged a dime. Carla's eyes stung. She leaned forward. Granny, did you ever see Marjorie taking Grandma's papers, anything like that? A slow nod. That woman'd rifle through the attic most weekends after she passed, said she was tidying the estate. But she never let you near the grown-ups. She gazed hard at Carla. I heard she wanted her son set up tight by 16, never trusted her. Carla's fingers curled around the mug. If you ever saw the real will, would you say so? On a stack of hymnals, child, you just prove it was around, the rest'll follow. A loud laugh from across the cafe. Amanda and Hunter, Marjorie's children, at a corner booth. Amanda's venomous smile split the dim. So, uncover any pirate gold yet, Carla? Carla's lips pressed into a line. Just good, old, boring truth, Amanda. Sometimes that's all it takes. Amanda shrugged, feigning innocence. Mom's already cleaning out the office for the developers, told everyone you'd leave quietly. A ripple ran through the room as Mason slid off his chair, eyes narrowing. My mom's not going anywhere. Hunter scoffed, half the town's glad to see these dumps go. Just move along, lady. Granny Ridley placed a weathered hand on Mason's head. Hush now, nobody's stealing from a Leighton, not while I'm breathing. That night, Carla slept in the back office of the laundromat. Mason burrowed beneath the cardinal quilt. She studied the blueprints clipped to the wall, corner notes and scrawls. A crawl space she hadn't checked, upstairs attic. By dawn, tools in hand, she boosted Mason up the old pull-down ladder. The attic was low-beamed, hot with dust and stale air. Don't break your neck, she called. Mason's voice muffled. Something behind this photo, Mom. He handed down a frame, her mother holding Carla as a toddler. The glass was loose, brown tape holding the backing poorly. Inside, taped behind the photo, another envelope legal for Carla only. She held her breath. She slid it open. The original will, her mother's elegant signature, match for the journal and blue bankbook, a notary seal on the margin. Attached, a receipt for property taxes paid in advance and deposits to a numbered account, one that matched the bankbook's entries. She scanned the bottom. Estate to Carla May Leighton, all assets including underground safe, with trust for Mason Leighton and any further issue. Her hands trembled, heart pounding. A new surge of fear. What if Marjorie found out before Carla could stop the sale? She called Dyson, who promised to contact his FBI friend. Just hold tight, Carla. By Friday, either you're the owner or she's in deep. It was only Thursday afternoon. Time, always the enemy, now sliced short. Friday morning arrived, sticky hot and heavy. The developer's rep, a sharp-suited man out of Little Rock, waited with a briefcase on Main, cheap cologne marking his path. Carla crossed directly to the courthouse where, behind frosted glass, Marjorie held court, blonde hair immaculate, cashmere scarf at exactly the right angle, Amanda at her elbow. Marjorie's eyes narrowed. Really, Carla, theatrics. Carla dropped the envelope on the desk in front of her. You recognize this, Marjorie. One heartbeat, too. Marjorie's face didn't move, but Amanda's eyes darted. What's that? Are we done with the show? Amanda's voice held a bitter twist. Carla's words were low, but the room caught them. The real will, the real bankbook, proof of the trust. Forging a signature is a crime. Selling what is yours is another. Marjorie laughed, too sharp, too thin. Do you really believe that holds up? That'll be your word against mine, and nobody here, nobody will back your play. She leaned farther, voice dropping to icy sweetness. And what's a laundromat worth anyway? Pennies and lint. I've set up my family for life, that's all that matters. Carla didn't flinch. Funny, the FBI might disagree, or the IRS, or maybe you'd rather keep this in Jasper in front of everyone you've manipulated for years. The door banged behind her, Dyson, flanked by a tall, heavy-set man with an FBI badge swinging from his belt. Dyson's voice rang out, Miss Leighton, you ready to sign? The agent nodded at Carla. Ma'am, thanks for your cooperation. Miss Leighton, could we speak privately? Marjorie's face went white, mouth opening and closing like a landed fish. Amanda stepped forward. Those papers are fake, right, Mom? No one can prove, Marjorie began, voice shivering. Granny Ridley swept in, her voice hard as hickory. I saw Margaret Layton sign those. I remember the day. Your mother was never a liar. Silence pressed in. Marjorie tried to stand, but the FBI agent blocked her. We're going to have a conversation, ma'am, about wire fraud and stolen property. Mason clung to Carla's waist. Did we win, Mom? She stroked his head. We're still standing, Mason, that's a win. The developer's rep snapped his briefcase shut, scowling at Marjorie. Looks like we'll be rethinking this deal. For a moment the world stilled. Carla's heart slammed, then settled. As Marjorie was led off, she hissed, You'll regret this, Carla, you'll never belong here. Carla caught the agent's eye. I already do. As people filtered out, Granny Ridley squeezed Carla's shoulder. Told you, child, nobody beats a Layton when the wind's up. The heat of the room, the smell of old wood and justice, would linger for years. By summer's end, Marjorie stood trial in Little Rock on federal fraud, tax evasion, and property crimes. Amanda and Hunter left town for college without ceremony, the Escalade gone. The county paper ran a headline, Local Family Fraud Exposed, FBI Investigation Reveals Decades of Greed. Mason returned to school in town, his last name finally spoken with respect, not pity. The laundromat, its underground rooms restored, became a community space, coin-operated again, gossip hub for all of Jasper. Carla worked evenings, fixing washers, and with Granny Ridley's help, sewed curtains for the library. Each night she walked home through the quiet valley, the outline of her mother's farmhouse a dark promise on the hill. Her savings account ticked up, bit by bit. One morning she found a letter. Thanks for fixing what needed fixing. Jasper owes you more than coins. Mason grinned, spinning in the new rolling chair behind the counter. Mom, you think Grandma'd like the place now? She ruffled his hair. She'd laugh at us trying to keep it clean. Laundry never ends, kid. There were still days when she woke remembering sleeping in her car with only $42 to her name. But now the wind through the valley was hers, and the house, once erased, shone bright with hope each dusk. Some people think houses are just brick and board, but sometimes they're memory and grit and a little righteous thunder. If you're ever told you're only owed what someone else thinks you deserve, remember, sometimes the truth's just waiting right under where they thought you'd never look. And when you find it, claim it, because the fight is what makes it yours. Years rolled through Jasper with the slow certainty of seasons, creek rushing in spring, heat thickening the trees come August. After the trial, life didn't become perfect. No sum in a bank, no victory over the greedy could make broken things whole all at once. But there was, for the first time in years, room to breathe. Carla would always remember the first honest winter after the storm, how its edges softened around the laundromat. She hung a bell on the turquoise door so Mason would know when a customer came, a little silver thing that on cold mornings sounded like hope. Most mornings started the same, coffee percolating in the back, sunlight slanting through crisp new curtains, Mason calling out the number of quarters left in the till. There was always laundry, always someone whose washer had choked on mud or whose dryer had quit on towels right before Sunday church. It was Tuesday when the door's bell jangled and Tom Dyson ducked inside, hair whiter, still muttering about the town's troublemakers and how even honest lawyers have to eat. He insisted on putting his own coins in the machines, coat sleeves dusted with lint. Well, Carla May, he said, half a grin hiding in the lines of his face, little Jasper S. settled for now. That feels like a miracle, don't it? She smiled, folding worn shirts into a basket. Small miracles, Mr. Dyson, about what we can handle. He nodded, glancing at Mason tracing tide pools and spilled suds. You know, for all the years your mother left this place running, she thought no one cared, said it was just pennies in the dark. His voice caught a little. But she left you light, sometimes that's more. I wish she'd got to see it, Carla murmured. She did, Tom said, tapping the machine. She left you the map, you followed it, that counts. From the street, wheels crunching on gravel, Ridley's old, battered Ford. Granny Ridley herself shuffled in, waving a bag of hot biscuits and half a pie. Little Laytons need feeding, she announced. And the library sent over a thank you basket, she eyed Mason, for those curtains that actually close. Mason's face bloomed with pride. We measured every window, Grandma Ridley. Sure did, honey, got the wonky thumbpricks to prove it. She winked at Carla. I hear the council wants to put your name on the sign out front, Carla. Layton's wash house has a ring, don't you think? Carla smiled, feeling for maybe the first time in her life, the place settle around her like armor and long-deserved comfort. I think it sounds like home. There were still stains that couldn't be scrubbed, memories of Marjorie's final bitter stare, the empty house up the hill, absences that curled in the quiet. But the vault in the basement now stored community blankets and winter coats, not secrets. Teens studied for their GEDs in the side room, a coffee pot always hot. Nobody asked if she was leaving or if the lights would go out come winter. One night after a sudden summer storm, Carla found Amanda outside the laundromat, sitting on the low brick wall across the street. Hair pulled back hard, face thinner than before. The old reflex, a tightening in Carla's chest, flared, but she sat down anyway, careful to say nothing. Amanda spoke first. Hunter wanted to come back, you know. He says there's nothing for us in Little Rock. I keep telling him, well, he misses Mom, God help him. Rain plopped in the puddles. Across the street, the neon open buzzed faintly. Carla tried, you've got family here still, if you want it. Amanda's mouth twisted. You could have pressed charges against me too. Dad used my name signing things, you know. Carla shook her head. You were a kid, Amanda. Sometimes parents use us as tools for what they want. She paused. Nobody should have to pay for someone else's lies their whole life. Amanda's voice wavered. You really think this is forgiveness, or just you being better? I think forgiving is something you decide on small days when the fighting's finished and you want peace more than pride. There's room in town for both. The streetlight overhead flickered. Amanda wiped at her nose, nodding so sharply it looked painful. An old Chevy rattled by, headlights painting both women gold. Amanda stood. If you ever need help at the wash house, water hoses, whatever, I can handle that kind of mess. Carla managed a small smile. You're hired, first shift s Friday. Amanda's smile was something unpracticed and real. After, in the quiet dark of the office, Mason curled on the sagging sofa and asked, do you think we'll always be safe now? Carla tucked him close. Safe's never forever, little man, but we've got roots, and now we know where to look if things get lost. He drifted off to sleep as thunder grumbled in the hills. That fall, the laundromat rang with the sound of neighbors. Mrs. Chan folding sheets alongside the church pastor, old Mr. Holloway gossiping about the town council, kids perched on laundry baskets doing homework, stray kittens curled at the dryer's feet. Mason grew tall and sure, the chip in his smile now more mischief than worry. Granny Ridley, appointed unofficial front counter boss, baked a cake on the anniversary of the trial. The townsfolk sang. Carla tried not to cry, failing by the second verse. Late that night, as the machines ran their last cycles and the steady thrum filled the rooms, Carla went down to the basement with the old blue bankbook, setting it on the desk by the journal. She lit a candle, more habit than need. Her mother's handwriting glowed in the flicker. If you find this, it's because you're brave enough to look. The hard things are what make us. Love is the only thing we hand down that matters in the end. The wind rattled the north window. Carla rested her hand atop the journal, eyes closed. For a while she sat in the hush, listening to the house breathing. The creek's quiet rush, the distant drone of peepers in the marsh, Mason's laughter upstairs. She had come to Jasper with $42 and a battered car, chasing a sliver of hope. She stayed because she'd found something rare, a place that would let her make things right and a chance to build something better for her son. Upstairs, she heard the door's bell ring sharp and clear. The town was waiting. Gathering her things, Carla climbed the stairs, back into the glow of yellow lamplight, through the familiar lintanned lemon tang of soap and home. Mason grinned up at her from behind the counter, waving a fistful of quarters. She ruffled his hair, and the past, the pain, the fights, the years of doubt, felt lighter, movable, somewhere behind her at last. "We're up and running, Mason," she said, the small and bold truth of it ringing brighter than any brass bell. Outside, dawn was coming up clean. In Jasper, Arkansas, the future, her future, was already unfolding with each slow, certain spin. That morning, Carla unlocked the turquoise door just before sunrise, letting the golden spill of day wash through the laundry's glass panes. The air was brisk, alive with promise. She stacked baskets, propped open windows, let the world in. The bell above the door chimed, first Mason, backpack askew, boots squeaking on clean linoleum, then Amanda carrying a box of fresh dryer sheets, eyes brighter and steps surer than last week. "You beat me here," Carla said, nodding at the row of folded towels Amanda had already sorted by color. Amanda grinned, a touch sheepish, and set the box on the counter. "Guess I figured I ought to start showing up on time." Mason came to hover at Carla's side, pride plain in his face. "She's way faster at counting coins than me, Mom." "Just takes practice," Amanda replied, tousling his hair, her face softened. "Thanks for letting me, try again." Carla squeezed her shoulder. "Most of us only learn what matters by starting over. You're here, that's the important part." Outside, light caught in the glass and the first customers filtered in, Mr. Holloway, humming off-key to the radio, Mrs. Chan with fresh-baked sweet rolls. A teen who came every morning just to charge his phone and talk about comic books with Mason. Around the hubbub, Granny Ridley bustled through the door with a thermos and a cardboard box of tomatoes from her garden. She set them by the register, wiping her forehead. "Community potluck this Saturday, remember? Carla, you and Mason better be there. And Amanda, we need hands for setup." Amanda nodded eagerly. "I'm in, Miss Ridley." "Course you are," Granny Ridley replied, eyes twinkling. "Told you there's always room for another Leighton around here, even if the name's borrowed for now." Laughter rippled through the laundromat, easy and warm. Carla looked around, heartbeat steady for the first time in untold years. She caught her reflection in the window, tired, maybe, but strong, her son's smiling friends at her side, the haunted days receding into memory. As the day settled into steady routine, washers thumping, kids squealing, the bell chiming for each new arrival, Carla leaned at the counter, hands wrapped around a mug of Granny's strong coffee. Amanda came to stand beside her, studying the whirring machines. "Do you think," Amanda asked quietly, "this place can really change anything?" Carla squeezed her hand, watching sunlight play on the tile floor. "It changed me, changed Mason. Sometimes that's how you start." Amanda blinked quickly, a tentative hope flickering in her gaze. "Then maybe it can change me too." "Give it time," Carla answered, voice soft but certain. "That's what home is, a place that lets you become more than you were." The bell rang yet again. Another neighbor, another new story coming through the open door. Carla smiled, feeling the old burden finally loosen in her chest. She straightened, ready for whoever would need her next, knowing that the fight was over, and in its place stood the unwalled, enduring welcome of home.